Before we sit down with our next guest, it's important to note for viewers that the discussion we're about to have is incredibly traumatic and will describe the true horror of Hamas's terrorist attack on Israel on October 7th. On the morning of October 7th, Hamas terrorists entered the kibbutz of Nir Oz, where 72-year-old Adina Moshe and her 75-year-old husband David Moshe lived in southern Israel. After murdering David, Adina's husband of 50 years, the terrorist kidnapped Adina and took her to Gaza on the back of a motorcycle. Adina is one of nearly 200 hostages taken by Hamas. Now joining us is the granddaughter of Adina and David, Anat Moshe Shoshany. Anat, thank you very much for joining us on Forum Daily, and thank you very much for talking about this with our audience.
Thank you, guys.
Before we start, what I'd like to do is for you to tell our audience a little bit about your grandparents, the type of people that they were.
So my grandfather was a farmer. He grew mostly potatoes, carrots in the kibbutz and spread it all over the world. My grandparents were the most in love couple I've ever met. They were married for 53 years. They started the kibbutz more than 50 years ago together. They built a whole family there. My grandma was like this. She still is the most amazing person. She always cooked for us family meals. She was so loving. Also, my grandfather, may he rest in peace.
And can you walk us through the morning of October 7th? How did you find out what had happened to your grandparents?
Yeah, so I live in Tel Aviv. I am a student at the university there. So on 6:30 a.m., the sirens were on. I immediately texted them to check if they are okay. This is kind of normal situation for us, the sirens. This is not something unusual. They told us that they can hear very strong gunshots outside their window and that they are locked inside the shelter. And they're waiting for the army to come and save them. Not much time later, like 20 minutes later, my mother called me. She told me that their neighbor, her name is Bracha, the terrorists got inside her house, they killed her, took her phone and filmed it. They posted it to her personal Facebook page. So this is how her family find out that she's dead. That's the point where I realized that something very big and very bad is going to happen to my family. I try to show them that I'm cool, that they will be okay. Sorry.
Don't apologize.
They talked with me. I texted with my grandmother because they needed to be quiet so the terrorists won't hear their voice. So we texted on messages. The last message that we got from my grandmother was at 8:40 a.m. She told us that they are locked inside the shelter, that they can hear the terrorists already inside their house. They shot it at the window of the kitchen. They tried to break through the door of the shelter. Later on, we realized that they didn't succeed to open it. They shot like countless gunshots, but because this is a shelter, only 3 of them succeeded to hurt my grandpa. So he was hurt, but he didn't kill just yet. Later on, we found my grandmother's phone. So we saw that she texted someone that my grandpa is hurt and he needs medical care. And something like 5 minutes later from that text, she also disappeared.
Anat, before the break, you were describing the events of October 7th to the point where you had lost contact with your grandmother. We know that she was kidnapped and taken to Gaza. How was it that you found out, or how did your family find out that she had been kidnapped?
So around the noon, I received the video through social media, the video that she was seen sitting in the middle of two terrorists on a motorcycle. She already inside Gaza Strip, where she needs to hold the terrorists who just killed my grandfather so she won't fall. She was barefoot, no glasses on. She usually puts glasses. So we later on figured out that they put like a grenade on the window so they could break it through. They shot again at my grandfather to make sure that he's dead completely. They shot at him countless gunshots and they kidnapped her through the window.
And for the rest of the community at the kibbutz, how many others were either wounded or hurt or kidnapped like your grandmother?
So many. The kibbutz is a very small community. It's like 390 people. Out of the 390 people, there are 200 people who are either murdered or kidnapped, which is like, you can't understand this number. 1 of 4 from the kibbutz is kidnapped, is hostage, held by the Hamas terrorists until this day. It's been more than almost 2 weeks since this horrible Saturday. We don't know what conditions they are held in. My grandma is a sick woman. She has heart issues. She needs her medicine. They took babies, children, pregnant women. They had no mercy for anyone. We are all broken. Really, we can't understand how a human being can do such thing.
And I mean, this is obviously an incredibly traumatic moment for you and for your family. What is it that Canadians or viewers anywhere in the world should know about what happened that morning?
The world should know that they didn't came just to kill people. They didn't came to make a point to release from the occupation or whatever. They came to abuse people. They beheaded babies. They burned people alive. They filmed it. They enjoyed it. They burned down every single house. They had mercy for no one. They shot countless gunshots for everyone who stood on their way. Dogs, babies, children, mothers. They enjoyed it. They took whole families, set them down, murdered the parents in front of their children. They took 20 children, tied them up with their hands, put it in a pile and just burn them down alive. There are proofs, there are videos. They took the videos themselves. They took a video of a grandmother. They shot her to death and her grandchild saw that video on her Facebook. They are monsters. They're not animals and they're not humans. It's pure terrorism. This is not a war. For war, there are rules. This is army against army. These are innocent civilians on Saturday morning who did nothing wrong to anyone. They just woke up, one morning inside their house and murdered brutally with no mercy. They raped, they beheaded, they burned down people alive. There is no forgiveness for that such thing. This is not a war. This is not a regular war.
Anat, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you sharing the story of your grandparents with us. I hope with everything that I have that your grandmother is okay and that she will be returned safely. And thank you for sitting down with us.